Hello and welcome to another exciting episode where we talk all things sports. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Dip Dipianco. We've got it covered from the latest hoops news to some super spikes. This is Starting Lineup.
Dancing, swaying, shooting.
Puts a long palm and hits a nice attacker three.
Again.
Isai tosses to Netura.
Now, with the NBA season wrapping up, a regular season that is, some individual praise is at hand. Here to talk about the top MVP candidates so far is our own MVP analyst. He asked us to put that in the script. Isaac Gold. He's so embarrassed. Welcome back, George.
It's good to be back.
Yes, let's talk about. I want you to make the case for. You're not here tonight to kind of debate on your own, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to make a case for everyone. Is that what we're going to do tonight?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. And
Okay,
sadly,
okay.
we have an honorable mention, Luka Doncic. One game left before hitting the 65 game, but sadly, it's unlikely that he will be playing in his last. I think the Lakers have 2 games left. So again, he hadn't made a case. They were third in the West before he got hurt. That magical push down the stretch.
Had a great run. Yeah.
But sadly, he's out in the running. So Laker fans will hope he's healthy for the playoffs.
What makes him sorry, Dip, I just want to say with that run, what makes him an MVP candidate? What's the argument for Dip's old boy?
Right, para sa akin talaga yan eh.
Again, people did not expect the Lakers to be third, fourth in the West. People had them, I think, out early. And they were saying there were already talks like, oh, how are we going to break this team up? How are we going to change it? Is it time to build around Luka, move away from LeBron? And yet, they made it work. They won almost over 50 games, which, especially in the Western Conference, very difficult. He made that magical run. And it's the perfect storm. The last Laker MVP was Kobe Bryant. So Laker fans are hungry for another MVP, and I think this is the closest someone's been to actually winning the award.
Yeah, just really unfortunate what happened to him. I think they tried to apply for an exemption, di ba? Pero malabo na rin yan. So let's see. Baka by some miracle, biglang maging MVP pa yan si Luka. But also, there are tough candidates in that category, and particularly Victor Wembanyama for the Spurs. Na they're making the playoffs this year. What can you say about his impact for San Antonio this year?
Ito, mahabang usapan to kasi
Spurs fan, but again,
Spurs
first
guy.
of all, we still have to clarify. He is also 1 game short right now. He
Right,
suffered a
correct.
rib contusion.
Right.
He sat out this morning. People are saying he is going to play one of the last 2 games. But again, with Victor Wembanyama, what's there to say? 22 years old. If he does win the MVP award this year, he might be the youngest or tied with the youngest, depending on the days, because Derrick Rose won it, 22 years old as well. And I think remember, last year, sat a lot of games, was hurt a lot of games, only played maybe 40-something games last year. The Spurs won 34 games. And now with a full healthy year, 60-plus games for the Spurs, number 2 in the West, new head coach. And again, if Wemby wins this award, now there will be talks. How many is he going to win? This is 22 years old, winning your first one. Are we going to see a dominance? Like, we're going to see his run now. Because, again, similar to the story, I think we have to mention Junmar Fajardo. When he didn't win his first MVP, it was like, this is the last year he is not going to win MVP. And I think if Wemby wins this one, the question, I think, is now, when does the run start? Where constantly MVP in top 1, top 2, and this might be the championship. So this might be the first year. Or, if not, maybe number 2, then the next year will be the first. But again, very, very hopeful for Victor Wembanyama.
Okay, devil's advocate here. Luka's averaging almost 34, with almost 8 rebounds. Wemby's far from it from a scoring standpoint at 24, 25. But obviously 12 rebounds and almost 4. We can talk about him when it comes to the numbers, and I know you don't want to focus on that. What's the edge here that Wemby has? What's the real case for him?
I think the real case for him, number one, is the defensive end because he was also potentially
Yun ang campaign niya, you know?
defensive player of the year. And
Right.
number two as well. The number two in the West.
Right.
To make that jump from 34 last year, people always talk about what do you look at in terms of the MVP voting. And sometimes people look at what happens if you remove the player. We saw that last year. 34 wins, not a lot. Now you add him back. Now number two in the West. And I think that's where versus Luka, where they were in the play-in last year to now fourth. The jump isn't as big versus the Spurs where they really made a massive jump in the standings.
I like his argument. I really like his, not just Isaac's argument, but Wemby's actual argument
Right.
to say, isn't basketball a two-way game?
Yeah.
And I'm the best two-way player there is
Which is
now.
why it's such a really good case, diba, for him to win that.
Especially over Luka.
Sige. Pwede na.
Sa depensa.
Sa depensa lang.
Sa depensa,
Pero
sa
other than
depensa.
that, we're gonna stick with Luka. But
Okay.
we'll see. What about another center in Nikola Jokic? I mean, this year, diba, Jamal Murray is more healthy this season. So people thought maybe his numbers will go down talking about Jokic, but he's still putting up the same numbers, if not better, diba? So can he win a fourth MVP? That is the question.
He just won the recent one-on-one game over Wemby also in that great game
And
just
people
this
were
week.
talking about if Wemby can't stop Jokic, who can? And again,
Good point.
with Jokic, it's gotten boring because like you've come to expect him. If he has 15, 15, and 15, you're saying, oh, such a bad game. Sure, triple-double, a bad game. So there's that conversation where, again, Jokic just puts up these massive numbers. And again, they're competitive, number 3 in the West. Of course, they overcame the Lakers as of late.
Yeah,
But-
they're also on a nice run for themselves.
And again, you always talk about you remove Jokic from the Nuggets.
Yeah, of
Where
course.
do you find them? You probably find them not even the play-in. But again, the caveat is now this. If Jokic wins MVP this year, he will now be tied with LeBron and Chamberlain for 5th most MVPs.
Yeah.
So now that's where the question now, you don't talk about Jokic as a great center of all time, but one of the greatest NBA players of all
Yeah,
time.
I mean, Kareem, MJ, diba, are the 6 and 5, and then the 4.
Russell at 5 as
Right.
well.
Yeah, and then 4.
Chamberlain, LeBron, and
So,
Jokic if
correct,
he wins. So
if he wins. And here's the thing with Jokic, and I saw just this morning, he'll probably be the only player who leads the league in rebounds and assists. There's nobody who's ever done it. And he's going to do it this year. And it's got to be that kind of ridiculousness, in my opinion, right now, for him to win it. Because there is that voters fatigue. Nakakatatlo na nga siya. Are they going to give him another one?
Yeah.
But because the numbers are just ridiculous, he just might get it. So, which brings us to the last guy, who still leads the league, by the way, in terms of, clutchness, the scoring. His name is still very shiny. They're still number 1, SGA.
I think from all the 3 players we've mentioned, I think if Shea wins it, because he'll win back-to-back, it doesn't seem like it's going to change the narrative of the NBA that much. Because again, there have been 2-time MVPs. His name will be etched in history. But for Wemby to win one at 22, for Jokic still to win 4, and if he does win 4, he's at an incredible pace because he's only played somewhat 800 games versus every 900 to 1,000 once in his caliber. But again, number 1 seed, he's led the team again. Now, there will be a stronger case because at the start of the season, they were on pace to break the 73-9 record. Now, of course, that slowed down with J-Dub out, Chet out.
Yun yung J-Dub out for a
a
long
lot of
time.
Tagal.
numerous
Tagal, no?
injuries. And yet, they're still number 1.
Right.
It's hard to root against him as well. But again, that's where, if he doesn't win this year, it's going to be tough, I think, again, for him to win another one because he's sandwiched in the middle where Jokic is, I think, finishing. We've experienced the Jokic run. We might have 1 to 2 more years. And then sabay yung start ni Wemby.
Wemby.
So he's sandwiched in the middle that if he doesn't win this year, it's tough to we'll see him in the conversation again
Every year.
but it's going to be tough to see like when does he break through once again.
Yeah.
Because last year again, championship, regular season MVP, finals MVP. This year again on pace. But you have that Spurs dynasty catching up.
right.
So
The argument for him, though, Isaac and Dip, is that he's getting even more efficient. He's more efficient this year.
Yeah.
So there's that argument that we're only seeing probably like a mid-run for him. Like
Yeah.
si Wemby, packet. Ito, mid-run pa lang. So,
Yeah.
hirap.
And I
din.
guess the argument also is mas malalim din yung OKC, right? I mean, they have a lot of guys
For sure.
who can get the numbers. So I think kaya pa ni SJ pataas yung numbers.
Yeah.
But that'll be for another conversation.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Great
have
candidates, though.
our,
That's why.
our MVP analyst back dahil marami pa siyang pwedeng sabihin about this conversation. But Isaac, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good to be back.
Pinawisan eh.
Hot takes.
Kaka-decipher.
All right, we cross over to the PBA after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching Starting Line. Welcome back to Starting Lineup. The PBA Commissioner's Cup is in full swing, so here to talk about his standout imports so far is basketball analyst Mark Molina. Coach Mark, you know the PBA this year, this Commissioner's Cup, particularly is very exciting because of all the imports, diba? They've lived up to the expectations, some big names, but also names that we weren't sure how they will do. Pero grabe yung pinapakita. Just like for rain or shine, they are undefeated so far. What can you say about Jalen Johnson and how he has helped out his team?
He is the perfect fit for me to the system that Coach Yang Yao wants to run. He's not, the ball doesn't stick to him. He's not really an ISO player, but he moves well without the ball. He can shoot from the outside, which is, I think, is very important dahil ang system ni Coach Yang Yao, 5 out talaga. So very important that they have a big who can shoot from the outside and also score inside. And then defensively, kailangan nila ng center to get rebounds for them. And this is the guy, and Jalen Johnson is doing it also for rain or shine. If merong kulang kasi sa rain or shine, yun talagang inside presence.
Yes.
And then Johnson has that inside presence and the rebounding. And then you add the outside shooting. So he's really a perfect fit. And that's the reason why they're 5-0. They even won one game without an import against Meralco at that. So rain or shine is really humming right now. And that's because they're running their system pretty much the same way if they were all Filipino.
Right.
Because Jalen Johnson is a perfect fit to what they're trying to do.
Hindi na sila parang lumalaban ng undersized, no, which is has been their issue, especially.
Tsaka nakakasabay si Jalen Johnson sa bilis ni Nokum, sa bilis ng mga ni Mamuyak, their speed, their transition offense. And then, as I said, the ball doesn't stick to this guy. He doesn't play like an import. He plays seamlessly into that system of
He's had some
Coach Yang.
spectacular dunks also.
Yep.
So he's also brought in an excitement factor. Hindi lang siya para sa ROS, which is at 5-0. if
Yeah,
I'm not
5-0.
mistaken. Big win against San Miguel the last time out also. Okay, let's talk about NLEX. Did you expect, what were your expectations? Kasi journeyman din yung import nila, di ba? He's been around China, Puerto Rico, and then of course on loan Meralco at one point.
But he's a veteran.
Yun na nga,
And he's played, as you said, journeyman. I mean journeyman, but that's because I think he's in demand to be playing
That's a
overseas,
good point, Coach. Yes.
in South America, in Asia. So he's been around. He was drafted as well in the NBA, so meron tong talent, merong caliber. I saw him also play with Meralco in the EASL, and I was impressed. I thought this might be a good fit for NLEX kasi meron ding ability to also hit the shot from the from the perimeter. So he's a great pick and pop option for Robert Bolick. And then legitimately, he is really a big man that NLEX needs. Yun ang kulang ng NLEX nung Philippine Cup. They were playing very well, but no real center. This guy provides that. The defense, the presence at center, the inside scoring.
Ganun touch sa
Yes,
sa
very good. And then
ilalim.
pwede mo siyang puntahan, I think, which is very important. Pwede mo siyang puntahan isolated in the low post. He's a go-to player.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the difference between him and Jalen Johnson. I haven't seen that, but maybe Jalen can do it. Maybe the system also doesn't allow him to do it. But I think si Caddy Lalane, pwede mong puntahan as a go-to player when you need points. So now you have somebody inside in Lalane, and then you have Bolick doing it. Of course, doing everything so far in this conference. That's why it's a great start, really, for NLEX.
Really nice touch, nice finish around the rim.
I mean, 4 wins, 1 loss for the NLEX Road Warriors. Ganda na pinapakita, no? At what point, Coach, did you see him really stepping up? Kasi nung una, medyo low-key lang yan, diba? He's not one of those big names. But at what point, I guess, in the Commissioner's Cup na talagang, this guy is the real deal.
No, he's legit. In fact, even in that one loss that they had against TNT. I thought he played well. I thought they were very, very competitive. Again, we all know TNT, how good they are.
Right.
It's maybe still struggling a bit, but he played well against. He showed that he can defend somebody like Ball, and he can also be an offensive factor for them. So even if in that loss, I was impressed. This is really the right guy for NLEX to make noise in this conference. Kasi tignan mo yung guard lineup ng NLEX. It's impressive. They have a lot of scorers in that. Minsan nga, kulang ang minutes na ibinibigay ni Coach Jong Yuchiko with his guard. I mean, LJ Gonzalez has been playing fantastic as well, playing alongside Bolik. So they have a lot of weapons.
Okay, you mentioned Ball, you mentioned TNT. We have to finish with him and dedicate that time to him. What are we not seeing? What are we seeing also? What are you dissecting with his game? What has he been delivering? Ano yung parang hindi mo pa nakikita kung meron man?
First, the positives.
Yes, game.
There's no doubt. This is maybe one of the most talented, if not the most talented import we've seen in a long time. Talagang NBA caliber player itong si Ball, and you see the skill level is very high. So definitely he can score. Walang problema dyan. He can score. He is definitely a presence as a shot blocker for TNT. So these are things that TNT really needs. But
Yeah, gusto ko yung but. Okay, let's see. Let's talk about
they're
the
2-2. They're 2-2. I mean, partly because TNT is notoriously also a slow starter in a lot of conferences. Okay, but he is not Donde Hollis Jefferson. He is not going to play 48 minutes nang hindi siya mapapagod. I think that's one of the major weaknesses of Ball right now, conditioning-wise. I don't know if he can play as an effective import for 40 minutes a game. Maybe 35, 36 would be the right thing for him. Because he fades. He fades towards the end.
We've seen it, yeah.
He's a better factor, especially on defense, in the first half than in the second half. So that's the first thing. Secondly, he's not a good pick-and-roll defender. Ball screen defender, which is key. I think that's one of the reasons why he's no longer in the NBA. Because in the NBA, everything's
no pick and roll.
if you cannot defend the ball screen against the likes of Steph Curry, you cannot be as effective as a big man. So that's really lacking. And last, offensively, while he's scoring a lot of points, and every time actually he gets the ball in the post, most of the time he scores. But parang ayaw niya. Parang
Yun
hindi.
nga eh.
Correct. I mean, if Chot runs a play off a timeout and puts him in the post, usually he will score. Pero he will not do it the entire game unless specifically asked by the coaching staff to do it. He's not comfortable. If he learns how to do it, because this is also his first time playing in Asia or playing internationally outside the US. So I think he's going to learn, and we will be able to adapt eventually, and then Chot will figure it out, work on that chemistry. But definitely, the talent is undeniable.
Yeah, and if only for that, Dip and Coach, yun yung abangan mo eh, no?
Yun
Yung
talaga.
storya niya. Ano bang mangyayari sa kanya?
He's been so good for the league. Pag
Correct.
naglalaro
Correct.
si Bol, ang daming nanonood.
So much
And then
traction,
the
diba?
excitement is terrific when he's on the floor because he can do so many things.
I actually like that they're no offense, Coach Shot. I actually like that they're up and down because it adds to the story.
Yep.
How is he going to develop?
Right.
I mean, locally, dami nanonood, even international media picking it up.
Yes.
So PBA is also getting an attraction from that.
Good
Well,
stuff, yeah.
thank you so much, Coach Mark, for breaking
Salamat.
down PBA imports for us. Exciting stuff back in the Commissioner's Cup. All right, we shift our attention to the PBL semis after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching Starting Lineup.
All right, we can't wait and we don't want to waste time. Let's talk about the PVL semifinals, and we bring in the big guns right now. Neil Flores is with us to talk about not necessarily matchups, but what they bring to the table and what's the argument for them. Let's start with the ones that have come up with the biggest upset going into the semifinals. Neil, Farm Fresh, how did they do it? How are they going to stack up in the semifinals?
I think that Farm Fresh is the sleeper team in the semifinals cast. Kasi people were expecting Nextlet to actually enter at semifinals. But all of the pickups, yung mga recruits rather, ng Farm Fresh really helped them in the semis. They shifted the position of Aragalang to outside hitter. That helped them a lot. And kahit na first time nila sa semifinals, they have veterans like Ces Molina and Royce Tubino. And these are two people who are used to high-pressure games. I think yun yung kailangan ng Farm Fresh. They need individuals na hindi mawawala dun sa pressure ng game. Sometimes pag bago ka,
Katulad
bata
dati.
pa.
Katulad dati.
Di ba,
Right.
nawawala yung mga tao sa performances nila. But with the inclusion of the players that I mentioned, I think that they will really compete at a high level. Alohi Robbins-Hardy will be one of the key factors kasi we know that Trisha Tubu will be her main go-to scorer. But if she can also find a way to give Ces Molina her touches dahil MVP caliber kind of player din si Ces Molina, that will help them in the semifinals.
It helps that Coach Koji was, instrumental with them, di ba? Oh.
And kasi kilala rin niya yung mga players, di ba? Nung
sure.
next led, he handled them before in Petrogas. Okay, lipat tayo sa isa pang team, the Signal Super Spikers.
Looking good.
Making a push. Now the question is, can they finally break through again, make it to the finals? Diba, it's been a while. Yung last time was a reinforced back in 2022. So what do you think are their chances this time around?
To push through. Because,
Yeah.
Neil, ikaw rin,
Yeah.
you've said this many times about Signal.
I think hot take to, but I feel like they will get one ticket to the finals.
Okay.
This season, iba talaga yung Signal because yung bench players nila parang starters na yung paglalaro na. Jewel Encarnacion is having a breakthrough conference. Vanny Gander is having the conference of her life as well. So you can see the growth. Yung mga key pieces nila from before like Jel Cayuna and yung mga middle blockers nila, nandyan naman yan eh. But when you factor in yung performance ni Vanny Gander and yung mga bonus performances from the other players, ang naboboost yung chance ng Signal eh. There were games na nawawala yung numbers ng middles. That was, I think, the game that they lost. Against Creamline. But if they can involve the middles once again, mas madadalian si Vanny and Erica to score their points.
And that's what happened in the win after, for them. And yes, the true test for Signal is the semifinals. Si Jewel is like there's this year's ishi lalong isip.
Yeah.
Ano yung nangyari sa kanila last year. Okay, so Signal is favored in your opinion. PLDT is the one that has looked most impressive from a consistency
Yeah.
standpoint. Tama ba, Neil?
I agree. PLDT is also one of the teams to watch out for. I think that the major factor would be Savi's passing. Yes, she can score. Yes, she's very athletic. But once na-target siya sa passing at mawala siya dun sa sistema, they actually struggle. So if she can focus on that aspect of her game, that will help them a lot because obviously, the servers will always avoid Kath Arado on the serve. So, sa digging, medyo mahirap iwasan si Kath kasi ang laki nung zone niya, so they will find other targets on that service line. But aside from Savi's passing, KKD should also be able to punch in her numbers. Yun yung mga na-observe ko. Pag wala yung numbers ni KKD at naka-load sila kay Savi Davison, yun yung mga games na hirap sila manalo. But if KKD is attacking with high efficiency, tapos may production pa from the middles as well, ang laking tulong for PLDT.
Right, what about the last team this time? Creamline Cool Smashers making it. Pinakahuling laban, diba, to determine sino yung kukumpleto sa semifinals. They're back, and I guess they're healthier, diba? Gia de Guzman, her first conference back. How big was she for their campaign to make it?
Pina-excite pa nila ng konti yung pagpasok nila ng
Oo nga,
semifinals.
kinabahan lahat ng Creamline fans. It took some time for Gia to get back to the system of Creamline, I would say. Yung first few games, hindi pa masyado. Nangangapa pa eh. But hindi naman surprise, Kyle Negrito really had a great game
Yeah,
in the
last time,
semifinals.
right.
She's more offensive, I would say, kasi she's very aggressive at the net with those 1-2 place dump balls. Hard server din si Kyle Negrito. But this is Alyssa Valdez renaissance,
Wow, yeah, I know.
would say.
Vintage.
Oo nga, parang she was reminded kung paano ba talaga siya as a player. She was able to rack up a couple of player of the game performances.
Yes.
Passing, of course, was always the concern for Alyssa, but in the past few games, I think that she was very decent in passing. And to be able to score 20 points in a high-pressure game says a lot about her character na hindi pa rin mawawala yun sa isang Alyssa Valdez. Sometimes pag matagal ka nasa bench,
Oo naman.
you kind of forget na
You doubt.
ito pa pala
Yeah.
yung kaya kong dalhin. And I know Alyssa personally.
Yeah.
I'm sure meron din seed of doubt
For sure.
pumasok sa kanya. But now that she's back in the starting unit,
Yeah.
nabigyan siya ng opportunity, she's showing everybody that she deserves to be in that lineup.
She reminds herself and she's reminding everybody else too about it. Okay, we have a few seconds for this one, Neil. I just want to get your personal opinion. Do you like this format more than matchup finals type?
Ako mas gusto ko to kasi at least lahat makakalaban ulit
Yes.
and we will be treated to more quality games na sanay na tayo sa mga usual matchups.
Right.
So now, it can be anybody's ticket to the finals. That's another aspect. Aside from the exciting games, you're giving a lot of chances to the four teams to make it through.
100% agree.
Right. Kung sino talaga yung dalawang aangat, di ba? You know, dahil maglalaban-laban and the top two will make it to the championship. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And we start this weekend in the semifinals. Neil, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you very
us.
much, Neil. All right. In the meantime, more news. Boxing legend Manny Pacquiao and DigiPlus ushered in a new round of digital entertainment that is looking to deliver a powerhouse ecosystem designed to elevate the Filipino player experience. Let's watch this.
All right, and that's the show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dip Yang.
Boom Gonzalez, this has been Starting Lineup.